Hey, what's up? Well, I'm making a video in the space room because I'm doing laundry in the laundry room, and that would be a little too loud. So hopefully I'll be able to do this. But what I want to talk about in this video, I just want to make a quick short video about why documentation is so important. And I'm wearing my little Valentine heart earrings that match my ring. And Valentine's is already over. So is Mardi Gras. And I took off my Christmas tablecloth and put the St. Patrick's Day one. The reason I bought St. Patrick's instead of Easter, like I really wanted, is because it's cheaper. Simply put, it's cheaper because not as many people decorate for St. Patrick's Day. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not having exactly what I wanted to save money, okay? And what I like to talk about in this video is, well, just as I've stated before, why documentation of this illness is so important to me. And the reason is very simple. Because without documentation in some way, shape, or form, it doesn't matter how I do it, it just needs to be done. I just need to make some mental note or record. Just like Friday, May 2nd, 1997, and how that day will live in infamy as one of my few genuinely regretted absences from school. Nothing to do with what I was doing at school, but who I would be seeing at school. And on Valentine's Day, I'm reminded of that every year. That I'm not a true lesbian by any definition, in spite of the haircut. And so what I like to talk about is just the reason why documenting an illness or me having a cold is so significant. And the reason, well, because if I don't document these colds, they'll be like that proverbial bear pooping in the woods, if you know what I mean. Does a bear SH in the woods? Or that proverbial tree falling in the forest that doesn't make a sound because no one can hear it. But I just want to say that it's important to document it, because if I don't, I'll just be like every other mofo out there that, gets a cold and it's no big deal. It's just another day their nose ran. And then wants to deny it and say that it's allergies when it's over and done with, like it never happened. And that's why people have so many freaking kids, because they genuinely don't give a care how many colds they get and how many colds their children even get, so they don't take steps to mitigate the number, because they think, oh, well, if they don't get it this year, they're going to get it next year or later on in life. I mean, that is the attitude that most people have. It's like that proverbial bear pooping in the woods. When they get a cold, it's like if there's no documentation of it, it's all one and the same as if they didn't. And I especially hate people, they're not even human, people who think that crapping in their pants is along the same lines, just like the bear doing it in the woods. People like my sister think that, if they do it in their pants, and no one finds out about it, like her greatest fear was me finding out in particular, and to a lesser extent mom, because she knew that if mom found out, I probably would too. Mom, it was more like mom would yell at her, and then I would tease her relentlessly and let her know that even if she had better grades than I ever did, despite me being red-shirted, she was still the girl that pooped in her panties. And even if she went on a diet and was skinny all throughout high school, whereas I kind of porked up a little bit once my braces came off or once I got used to having them, I'd much rather be the fat girl than the bitch that took a crap in her pants. That's how I feel about it. And I just really hate people who think that, as long as no one ever finds out, They did the big brown unthinkable on themselves. That it's all one and the same, like as if they didn't, because nothing could be further from the truth. You know, I believe in a record of everything I've ever done in life. And I believe that even if I didn't make these videos, my life history would still matter because I matter. And that's why I don't even fart in my clothing, because I can never forgive myself for that if it happened, which luckily it hasn't. So, you know, that's why it's important to document when I have a cold, and I'm feeling much better. But as you can see, I'm still affected by it after a week. But it'll gradually go away. And the other thing I want to talk about, oh God, this room is a disaster. I just wish I could sell about 2/3 of the crap that I have. But unfortunately, despite all that I have, all I can ever think about is getting more. And, so, you know, it's like, see, that's why I don't mind having physical manifestations of what's mentally wrong with me up here, because I'm not stupid enough to think that my mental problems and physical problems are like the proverbial bear taking a crap in the woods. You know, I don't live under the delusion that if I don't talk about what's wrong with me, and I don't have things representing what's wrong with me, that it'll be all one and the same as if nothing is wrong with me. You know, I'm so sick of people acting like that. My parents believing that if they could just hide, they could just hide the physical manifestations of the things that were wrong with me. You know, from the time that I was a child, if they could stop me from wearing my favorite Chuck Taylor knockoffs, you know, my shoes, at age 10, then it would be all one and the same as if I didn't want to be a boy. You know, I'm so tired of people thinking that, you know, that if they can hide something and keep it in the closet, which my closet doors are wide open right now, that it's all one and the same as if they're normal. You know what I'm saying? People that think that you can have homosexual desires, but if you don't act on them and you get married to the opposite sex and have a bunch of disgusting kids giving you colds all the rest of your life, you're just all one and the same as a heterosexual. Well, F that literal S-H-I-T from a bear in the woods. So yeah. And one thing, I found this little doll. I don't know what it is. It's almost like I buy things because I forget that I already have so many. But this was from Temu. You saw him. But you had another little girl from the dollar store that I forgot I had. I don't know. Every time I went to the dollar store, I'd get this anxiety about them no longer selling these. And I tried to talk myself out of it, thinking I already have one, but then I'd say, oh, what the heck is $1? So, you know, there's another little Dollar General girl. And the other thing I like to end with is 2 dolls that I may never have shown on here, but then my memory is getting so bad, short term that is. But these 2 little dolls, this is Timmy Martin from Lassie, and I'm not going to tell you why that name literally sold me on the doll, what part of the name, but Timmy Martin, and I'm calling her Tiff instead of Midge, and that's a complex reason. But what I'd like to talk about is how this doll is a physical documentation of an injury that happened to me in, I'll say, July 19th, 2017. I don't know if you can see the scar right there, somewhere in my palm. But this doll is a long story. Okay, I bought him at a discount. I don't know if he's Mego or he's one of those action figures. And the fact that he was about 8.5 inches originally was what sold him. But now he's 9.5 because he didn't have any arms and legs. Whoever sold him had him in bad condition, and that's why he was at a discount. But the head was very valuable. The head of a young boy that could be in junior high was very valuable to me. And in addition to him, I don't know if it was the same lot or whatever, I bought this Midge doll. A Midge doll. And so I used like a Stacy body to rebody him because he didn't have arms and legs on his original body. And I used some other Stacy doll and I put her head like a bigger like not a Stacy, like a Skipper, a 1960s Skipper, and then I think this was like a 1980s version of Skipper, so she's got little boobs. And somehow or another, I think they went together nicely to the point where he's 9.5 and she's 9 3/4, and that's perfect. But the bad thing about it is that when I was making I was readying the Stacy doll for his head, because his neck is part of his head, like a Ken doll. I cut the neck off, and in the process, I slipped with the knife on July 19th, 2017, and my hand has never been the same. You probably can't see the scar. Anytime something touches it, I feel a difference. And while I could get rid of this doll, I still couldn't get rid of the scar in the memory made by the doll. And it was painful for the longest time. I didn't know if there wasn't structural damage to my hand. And I told my mom, and she kind of downplayed it a little bit. Oh, you should see the scars on my body. And I didn't really want to tell her how it happened. I wanted to pretend I was cutting meat, because that would sound a little bit more normal. Let's see, what was I? Like 34? Yeah, at 34 it would sound more normal to be just cutting a steak instead of a doll's body. But I glued him, and because it looked so bad, I put this hair tie to look like a lei, L-E-I, like a Hawaiian necklace. And I want to say around Halloween that year, I got these outfits to match so they would go together. And to me, I like them because it's like they represent that stage in childhood when the boys are slightly shorter than the girls on average. Like the girls are already purse-carrying women in the making. You know, they're basically young women who are almost grown and they got boobs. But the boys are still immature, and they're like younger, flat-chested girls. Haven't really had their voice change, or not by much. But, so yeah, that represents to me, that says junior high. And 9.5 inches versus 9 3/4. She's 9 3/4, so that's like 57 inches or 4'9" versus 58.5 or 10.5, 4'10", 4'9" and 4'10", almost 4'11", or 5'0". So she may not grow much more, and he'll grow probably almost another foot in puberty. And so yeah, she's closer to adulthood physically. So yeah, and the fact that they're wearing the same outfit, it's like they could almost be twins. So yeah, that's what Timothy and Tiffany, how those go together. Well, it's something, I don't know, it's kind of a secret, but so yeah, that's a documentation of what happened on my hand in 2017, and why it's important to document things like that, you know, such as this cold in 97 and other colds that I've had since, and the one I have right now and getting over. It's important because I'm not like a stupid bear taking a crap in the woods. I'm a freaking princess, whether you like it or not. And that's what I'm saying, this mental disconnect that people have about what I've been saying about that movie. It always goes back to that. The reason I know that it's her is because it doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. The others don't matter like she does. Other people get a cold and it's just another cold to them. People with what, 5 or 6 kids, they get a cold. And if those kids are in school, it's just another day they were nasally. It's just another day they had to cough. It's just another day. Well, ironically, sneezing, I know they overplay that in the movies, which I'm just glad to see colds represented in the movies. But really and truly, sneezing is really only a big symptom on the second or third day. You know what I'm saying? Sneezing happens like when you're most contagious, like as the sore throat goes up into your sinuses instead. But once your nose gets all stopped up, like mine, especially if you don't do anything to treat it because it's clear enough to breathe, you really don't sneeze that much. Once you get past like the initial onset, after about the third day, it kind of settles down. And ironically, you don't sneeze as much when you have a cold and you're getting over it as you would ordinarily just from daily allergies. You know what I'm saying? It actually puts your allergies on hold for a while as you deal with the virus. So it's almost like you're too stopped up to really inhale the usual allergens that would make you sneeze in the morning. And instead I choke to death every morning on phlegm. That's gross. So yeah, it's just, like I've stated before, the reason why I know it's Angelica, because it wouldn't freaking matter if the others did it. You know what I'm saying? It'd be just another, because at 1 year old, Tommy doing it would be just what you would expect of a baby in a diaper. You know what I'm saying? Tommy is who you would expect to do it, along with Phil, Lil, Dill, and Kim even. A 1 year old boy would not explain someone saying, I won't say whom about the diaper thing. You know what I'm saying? A 1 year old is who you would expect. A 1 year old is who you would blame if you're an adult and you did it, which luckily has never been my situation. You point to a 1 year old, or a boy under 3 for sure, probably even over 3. If you had the misfortune of doing it, as a much older person, you would point to someone like Tommy. And, because it doesn't matter if they do it. So, yeah. Just wanted to say that the reason I embarrass myself documenting this cold and how it's progressing, which is pretty well, doing much better, is because, it separates me. The fact that mine are so significant or important, kind of distinguishes me from all those other mofos out there who just get them and forget them and move on with their lives.